Now we're going to look at the Creative Warp Modes Beats live set. Now in this live set, when you open it up, you're going to be able to follow along with the activities that I show here. This set is found within the Live Pack Creative Warp Modes, and it comes with this course. You can look at the download link below, or if you've downloaded it on any other pages, you can just open up that Live Pack, and in there, look at the Creative Warp Modes Beats live set. And right here on the side, I have a little explanation of what to do and to what to try out with these samples to fully get an idea of using these beats mode. So first, let's play this. Now let's really lower the BPM. We can hear it's kind of chopping it up, right? Well, if we come over here, we are set to beats in our warp mode, and it's set to transients. So transients means it's looking at whatever these little gray triangles at the top are, and those are representing hits. In other words, those are like the hitting of a drum or the striking of a string. Something that's an obvious increase of volume is a transient. And then this setting here under the preserved is what happens after it plays that transient. So right now we had it set to play and then stop. So since this is so much slower, it's playing it probably to about here, stopping, silence, next transient, and so on. But we can change it to something like this, which is forward, forward. So it gives it kind of a stutter sound, or forward back. And if we turn this way down, you can hear it doing that. It plays and then it repeats a section of it. Now, if this was pretty close to the original, you're not going to hear it that well. But the cool thing is when you come into here and you pick something like this forward and straight, and then change the envelope is kind of acting like a decay amount. So it's saying right now it's only playing 11% of the total transient, where this is 100%. And you can see how you get really interesting percussive sounds. And that's what I was showing in the opening exercise. Now let's look how we could use this on something like a pad. Now here we are with a riser. So it's just a really weird riser sound, right? Well, let's turn it into beats mode, and we still have that transient set to transient, and set to forward stop, and we can change this envelope. But what I want to do is I want to create like an interesting rhythm that speeds up. And this is all going to make a sense in just 1 second. So now we do that. And I'm going to even zoom in here. So I'm making these little warp modes by just double clicking. And as you can see, it's kind of looking like it's getting faster and faster because I'm creating more little warp points. Now every warp point is considered a transient. So if you remember before, it plays only those transient sounds, and now we'll get this kind of interesting stutter. Let's play it. And then we can play with something like the transient amount. So we can even change this as it's playing. And you can see how you get some really cool, interesting sounds out of that. Great, so next let's look at how we can do interesting things with grooves. Now I have this beat here. Let's turn it down the speed. Now, let's say I want to take this type of groove and apply it to something like that riser or anything. to create an interesting change in the beats mode. So what I can do is if I right click, I can say extract grooves, and it's going to read this file. It's going to read all those little transients, those little hits, right? All the little triangles. It reads that, and it says, okay, that's where those are. We're going to make a new file with that information, and then you can add it to anything else. So if I just drag this over, let me insert a MIDI. What it really did is it made a little MIDI information of where all those hits were. But if I take it and throw it on top of any other sample, it's applying this groove to this sample. And right here is what groove is being applied. And then there's this little commit button. If you hit commit, it's going to change the timing to fit what that groove was. So let's hit that. Notice how it kind of made warp modes and it might have moved them, but what I need to do is move this, increase this quantize setting. So the quantize is going to quantize all these little hits into wherever the hits were on this one. So now if I hit commit, we have all those little hits, and it snapped all of them to what we were seeing here. So if I play this, you can see it's in that groove. Now if I turn this to complex just so we don't hear that, it's just a pad. But by putting it in beats mode and having extracted this beat, this groove, and putting it on there, we have a nice, interesting little stab sound that's on the beat. So that's how we can creatively use beats mode.